Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad to be here to ask these nominees some questions. Top positions in the Department of Justice: Kristen Clark to be Assistant Attorney General, Civil Rights Division; Todd Kim to be Assistant Attorney General for Environment and Natural Resources. And I thank each of them because they both spent considerable time on the phone with me. One recently is Monday, and the other one a couple, 3 weeks ago, I guess. As I've said before, I hope that Judge Garland meant it when he said he wants to keep politics out of the Justice Department. I'd like to see a real commitment to do that from the nominees today. I don't want to see a return to the Holder days, but I worry about that being down the road. Just give you a recent example. The Justice Department has a Deputy Assistant Attorney General in its prestigious Office of Legal Counsel, and he was recently tweeting criticism of the Supreme Court's opinions, giving his views on Republican political prospects and voter integrity legislation. That's senior management in the departments, and it happens to be what's supposed to be the most apolitical division. So this person was moonlighting as a political pundit. I see that, and it makes me wonder about the judgment and impartiality of the Justice Department's political leadership. I hope that Judge Garland will get his house in order. We'll see if today's nominees agree with that assessment. So now turning to the nominees, and I think that, none of us mince words around the United States Senate. I know that Ms. Clark knows that she's very controversial. That said, I do appreciate the conversation she and I had, and I want to commend her for being forthcoming with the committee. I don't doubt that Ms. Clark is a capable attorney who is sincerely committed to progressive causes. What I'm going to want to see is whether she can put that partisan commitment aside and do the work of an apolitical civil rights enforcer. For example, just last summer, she wrote a piece called, quote, unquote, "I prosecuted police killings, defund the police, but be strategic," end quote. I'm sure that we'll hear the usual refrain today that nominees don't really mean it when they say defund the police, but the fact is, it was said. Is Ms. Clark going to use her perch in the Civil Rights Division to strategically defund the police by other means? Ms. Clark has taken positions on religious liberty that are, I believe, limited and potentially unfair to believers. Will she put these views aside and enforce the rights of believers to the extent mandated by the courts? Ms. Clark is a strong believer in voting rights, so am I, but I'm also a strong believer in secure elections. So I think it's a legitimate question whether she continued to view efforts to secure our elections as voter suppression when she's in charge of enforcing our voter laws, particularly a voter suppression talked about now when we had such a historical turnout for both the loser of the election as well as the winner of the election. Like Ms. Gupta before her, Ms. Clark has launched many personal attacks on federal judges, especially Kavanaugh. Chairman Durbin has in the past compared this practice to Senator Ashcroft and Sessions opposing judicial nominees. I happen to think it's a little bit different. Evaluating judicial nominees is part of our constitutional duty. I think it's different for litigators and aspiring government lawyers to go around attacking federal judges and doing it publicly. Questioning the integrity of judges and then eagerly appearing before them means that you either aren't looking out for your client's best interest, or that you didn't really mean your attack to begin with. Now, I think Mr. Kim is a lot less controversial, nominated to run the Environment and Natural Resources Division. While it's still called that, he has a distinguished career as a courtroom advocate. I don't think I agree with him on much politically, but elections have consequences, and based on his record, I think he will enforce the rule of law in the Justice Department. I will say that some of the activities of the Justice Department implicating his division do concern me. At policy level, President Biden wants to shift its focus from enforcing laws as passed by this Congress to protecting so-called, quote-unquote, environmental justice. I don't think this is consistent with the depoliticalized Justice Department that Judge Garland promised us. So I hope Mr. Kim will push back on any instructions to go forward beyond what the law requires. The Biden Justice Department is also in an unprecedented practice of acceding to nationwide injunctions against environmental rules in lower courts. I think this is an attack on the rule of law and the Administrative Procedures Act. President Biden is entitled to change environmental rules consistent with statute, but he should do it through the rulemaking process and not through litigation tricks. I hope that Mr. Kim will push back on this as well. Regulation by California judge can become regulation by Texas judge before you know it. With that, I welcome the opportunity to ask questions.
Thanks, Senator Grassley.